My name is Chad Weddle. I am the theater and film teacher here at Anderson High School. I knew Mr. Wesp. He was the choral director and the producer of the spring musical for the first 3 years that I was here at Anderson High School.
I'm Toby Biederman. I'm the band director at Anderson High School. And I met Mr. Wesp first in 1999. I had just finished up grad school at CCM. I had come down, and on the morning I was going to fly out to be a finalist in a job at Colorado Springs. Mr. Wesp called me and offered me the job, and I took the job at Nagel Middle School in 1999, and I opened that building for the first time that year, and that's when it all started. I met him, and we had a wonderful interview, and he offered me the job, and I canceled all my plans, and I took the job in Forest Hills, and it changed my life.
Well, hello, I'm Natasha Adams, and I'm a proud graduate of Anderson High School in the class of 1992. And so that's how I first met Mr. Wesp as a student. And then as time went on, I became a colleague of Mr. Wesp as I worked at Anderson High School. And then I had the distinct pleasure of being the principal at Nagel Middle School when he was an employee there. So I got to know Mr. Wesp in many, many different ways over the course of my life.
Well, my name is Stacy Haney. I'm the director of choral activities here at Anderson High School. I met Mr. Wesp, in the summer of 2000. And it was for the interview of the choral position here in the Forest Hills School District at Nagel Middle School. And I was just taken by the man just from the history and the legacy that he was building here at Anderson High School and in the district, being the director of music throughout the entire district. I was just very, very impressed with him and all he did.
I'm Chester Imhausen. I listened to his choirs at a state convention once, and I decided I would apply here for a student teaching position from CCM. And so I was his student teacher in the fall, and he hired me as a substitute for the spring, and then hired me the next year as a music teacher here in Forest Hills.
Hi, my name is Randy Smith. I was a student at Anderson Elementary School, Anderson Junior High, and Anderson Senior High, and I graduated in 1972. I was born the year Mr. Wesp started teaching here, so that will date me. And I also had the privilege of serving on the Board of Education from 2004 until 2019.
My name is Alex Gartner. I graduated from Anderson High School in 2009, and I had the great privilege of knowing Mr. Wesp first as my teacher, and then later after I graduated as a colleague, and finally as a great friend.
The word that I would most use to describe Mr. Wesp is the epitome of dedication. When he ran his rehearsals and he ran his program, the program he built was based on his determination and dedication and the time he poured into the program. He didn't just work here, he also had a church job on the west side, and there was never a moment where he wasn't thinking about making one of his ensembles better.
He always wanted to learn. He was always trying to study his craft and just build on it and just make it better and better and better. I met Mr. Wesp here obviously at that first interview, but then that following summer he was always attending workshops at conferences, professional conferences here in Ohio. In fact, one time I wanted to attend the Indiana Choral Directors Association Summer Conference in Indianapolis. And so I drive out to Indy, I'm registering, and then I look behind me and there is Mr. Wesp.
He was always in it for the students. The quality came because of the community that he built in his classroom and of the high standards that he set for us as students. And he could walk into a room and know every single person, but he was never one to claim the spotlight. He always enjoyed being there for his singers. That was his purpose of being on stage with us. It was for us, it wasn't for him.
Anderson High School was his home. The students were his family. He poured all of his energy into this community and creating a place where music had just as an important part as academics or athletics. Mr. Wesp treated all of his students like his own children. He cared for each and every one of them, no matter if they were into music as much as he was, if they were going to major in music, or if they just liked it.
He was one man who dedicated so many years. He would be at Anderson High School from the crack of dawn to way into every evening. Like, we honestly never felt that he had a life outside of teaching Anderson High School. And I know he did. He was a man of many passions, but it was just incredible, the amount of time that he dedicated to making sure that he was investing in the students and representing the Forest Hill School District with excellence.
He was certainly dedicated. Music was his life and teaching was his life. So he was here like in the morning early, and he was always here late looking at his emails and trying to plan for the next day. So it was not easy to live to his standard.
He was a unique person. When I think of Mr. Wesp, I think of excellence. That's something that I learned from him, was what excellence was. Even though I was never going to make my career, my livelihood with music, I felt like that I was trained in something and could recognize and deliver excellence. And that's something he demanded.
He built such camaraderie. To watch a 75-year-old man command the attention of a bunch of rowdy teenage boys, and for them to respect him so much, there's something compelling about that.
This positive attitude, this great chuckle that he had that just brought happiness wherever he went. You know, it brought it out of his students, he brought it out of his faculty, just anyone he met. He was just that guy that made you feel good.
Mr. West taught me the meaning of excellence. He was a man of great detail and vision for his work, and he was the kind of person that thought if anything was worth doing, it was worth doing with excellence. I probably remember that in the most when it comes to our Christmas programs that we had. Those were day-long events that required a lot of coordination and organization, and we would practice for hours leading up to that event.
It wasn't an option to deliver a performance that was less than excellent. He demanded excellence, and it was not just him, but it was also the team of Mr. Grooms and just the whole team that he worked with. It was just a pleasure to be part of that. And again, it was very demanding, but it was demanding in a positive way.
Really, it's the power of what one person can do. You know, as the leader of the educational music program here in Forest Hill School District, he made amazing things happen. He was very resourceful, bringing in all kinds of supports for us, experts that he would bring into our classrooms to give us feedback and really take our learning and our performances to the next level.
Like, being in this profession way longer than you need to be was inspiring. Knowing that his dedication was not to a paycheck, knowing that his dedication was the fact that he wanted to be here, the fact that, like, whether or not he was able to get done what he wanted to in a day, a week, a month, or a year, that he was going to keep coming back and finish the job.
He never seemed to get angry, even though there were conflicts. He always found ways of working things out.
He empowered his students as leaders to step up and be part of his team. And so that really taught me, just as I became an educator, the importance of growing capacity in students to step up as leaders and to really trust students and to count on them, because he did that so well.
He would be having a sub in his hand, Jersey Mike's or Subway, and he'd have that thing and he'd come in, he'd tucked under his arm.
If he wanted to rehearse and there was no space, he would find a way to rehearse somehow.
And he'd just zip right in and sit down at the piano for the next rehearsal, unwrap his sandwich, and would go like slowly nibbled on for the next 45 minutes while he taught, and he was running and doing everything, and that sandwich would just sit there and wait. He ate lunch teaching probably more often than he sat down to teach. I think it kept him alive, just running and running and running.
He was teaching for 57 years, and you know, a lot of people who've been teaching that long would want to go out with a bang, you know, a big year-long celebration, a big concert, XYZ. No, not Mr. Wesp, because that would make it far too much about him. Instead, he quietly submitted his letter of resignation before a board meeting, and that was it. One person knew, I think his secretary, Heather Orm, knew, and he cleaned out his office and he was done. No fanfare, no frills. I was flabbergasted when he did it. But when we talked to him about that, he said it was because he didn't want that school year to be about him, because that would take away from his students. And if that's just not the pinnacle of just a great mentor and a wonderful example of a human, I don't know what is.
He was pretty funny. He had a lot of idiosyncrasies that were just him. He liked to laugh. He really enjoyed making sure that he had all of his work done, but then he also made sure that whenever he came up to me and there was something for us to discuss or something for us to work through, he always made sure to check in with me and say, like, how are you doing? And, you know, and he meant it.
He was not particularly fond of technology, nor was he very good at it. So he was a terrible typer. He would type like this. And so doing grades for him was very tedious, and it took a lot more time than it was worth, in his opinion. So he would sit at his desk, and I would sit at the table next to his desk, and he would go down his manual grade book, and he'd call the grades out to me, and I would just enter them. No, I was on the honor system. I never changed anybody's grade. It was always really interesting, though, when he got to me, because I was in his class, and he would be grading me, and he would always kind of pause, and he would be like, 99, and then we move on. And I always, for a while, I was like, why is he only giving me 99s? Like, what am I doing wrong? And so finally I got the courage to ask him, Mr. West, what would it take to get me to 100? And he said, well, one could always have better posture. And I chuckle at that thought. Here I am slouched over right now. That was just one of those greatest things, those greatest lessons that he always taught his students. There's always something more that we can do to be better.
He built this comprehensive program for us, from the itty bitties all the way up to the high school kids and beyond. And we all get to play in this playground. You know, everything that we have today is because he built it. From our general music structure to our middle school to our high school, but he was never shut from hearing new ideas. He was always open to improving, even though we had this amazing thing, and we still do, and I'd like to think we've grown it beyond his wildest imaginations.
The legacy of Mr. Wesp is so powerful that I think that he may be singularly one of, if not the most important figures that we have in this area in recent history. And I know that my job is only because of his work and Roger's work And so, yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable how much energy that he put into this community and how this community has responded and how much they love music and how much they love the performing arts. And so that is the greatest impact that one can have, is fostering a love of storytelling.
The concept of just, you don't have to be the best. Everybody, you guys are the same way. High school kids always have this false impression that they have to be the best and look the best. And especially with social media, they have to just put on this appearance of being everything to everybody. And the thing that Mr. Wesp impressed upon me is that being yourself is enough. Putting your head down and just doing the work, and oftentimes was enough, because all of us have inherent talents. And he told his students, and I learned this from watching him and learning from him, that when you just use those talents and put them to use and work regularly and steadily and just keep after it, great things are going to happen. You don't have to be everything. You don't have to be perfect. All you have to do is be you, be natural, and work. And do the best that you can for the people around you. And I try to teach that to my students. I try to teach it to my kids. That's just the number one lesson that I think anybody could take from him that was lifelong.
And I try to, as he always said, be better every single day. Find ways to better yourself every single day. And the moment you stop being better is the moment you stop being good. And so I always think about that and I say, okay, I made a mistake today. I could have been better in that situation. And so he always pushed me and taught me that you're going to make mistakes. You're going to be making choices for yourself rather than the greater good. But as long as you're taking the time to recognize that and better yourself every single day, then that's all that people can ask for.
He impacted just a love for music, all types of music. He was the king. I mean, he knew what to do with a choir. He knew what to do with kids. He knew how to relate to them. He brought out the best in all of us.
He really put the music program of the Forest Hill School District on the map. We are known, around the nation as a top performing school district when it comes to music. And that was his dedication year over year over year. He was able first to attract the best talent. I can remember being in interview processes with him when I was an administrator, and he was very tough in his interview process, asking hard questions. He also taught me the importance of performance inside of an interview. So he would have his music teachers that he was looking to hire to perform on the piano and to try to command an audience so we could see. And so what that taught me was the importance of not just what an interview looks like, where anybody can say what sounds good. It's when you get up and perform and what you can show that you can do. And so he was great at spotting talent. He was great at attracting talent and developing people. When I think back to my time at the high school, it's memories of the Pumpkin concert, of being in Hello Dolly and going to contest and having that stress. Mr. Wesp was amazing he could command the entire student body with his eyes. And so you were afraid to make a bad move. Right before we would get ready to sing, he would look up and smile at us. And he would smile on his whole body from head to toe. And why that's emotional to me is not about Mr. Wesp and singing a contest or at a concert. It's that smile of an educator that says, I believe in you. And I'm here with you, and you're going to be awesome. And I just think that is the power of an educator. It's that person who goes beyond the call of duty to pour into kids and to make sure that they're invested in, that they're cared for, and they're given a high bar, high expectations, And that's what Mr. Wesp did for all of us. That's what he did for the programming. That's what he did for his staff. That's what he did for his students. And I just admire that in him. And you know, when you're a student who graduates from Forest Hill School District and then you come back to teach here, you're doing that as living out a mission that was inspired in you when you were a student. And for me, being able to give back to Forest Hills in the way that it gave to me through people like Mr. Wesp was such a privilege in my life. And I get teary and sad because it's the demands of education today would probably be impossible for somebody like Mr. West to give everything that he gave to the school district. It's very challenging. And so he is a legend, he is one of a kind, and has certainly made Anderson High School and Forest Hill School District and the Nagel Middle School program well-known, top-notch, and something that many educators, many students have aspired to come back and be a part of.
Thank you, Mr. Wesp.
Mr. Wesp, I want to say thank you to everything you brought to this district, to this city, and in particular to me, for hiring me back in the summer of 2000. Working in Forest Hills has changed my life. You have changed my life, and I'm just saying thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Wesp, for being my teacher, my role model, my colleague, and my friend.
Thank you, Mr. Wesp.
Thank you, Mr. Wesp. You have inspired me and provided me with countless numbers of opportunities to make kids' dreams come true, including this kid. So thank you.
When I think back to Anderson High School, he's the first person I think about, and I'm so grateful I was able to be impacted by him.
I'd like to thank Dick Wesp for teaching me how to become a strong music teacher and to take the time to listen to each individual and to work with individuals in a patient manner. I know he inspired many people in this community, also many former students, to become really outstanding music teachers throughout the state.
Mr. Wesp, thank you for the music.
Thank you, Mr. Wesp.